Hello, everybody. Welcome to the DMP Power Hour. I'll say hi, Dom.
Hey, Dan.
Hey,
I mean, we already had
did an
the
episode.
we already
We
the
have-
morning shift.
We have a very, very special guest. We have Bubba, DJ Bubba.
Hello, everyone. What's up? This is
What's
DJ
going
Bubba Guitar.
Very, very special guest. So we'll start. We're gonna do we'll do the first part of the show is like an interview top part. Like we'll ask him about some of the stuff. We want to talk about growing up, growing up with my mother. Shout out, Mom. We talk about growing up.
Shout out
Anne Marie.
Shout out Anne Marie.
Shout out
She's
Anne Marie.
a sweetheart, a crazy, funny sweetheart.
We'll start there, and then we'll work our way through.
Sure, that's a good place to start.
That's a great place to start.
I'm honored to be here. This is a very cool place. Hopefully, I don't ruin your show.
No, you're not. This is great. I'm actually sending the link to Mom so she'll watch it.
Okay.
But yeah, you could start whenever you're ready. If you want to just talk about growing up.
Well, it's funny
That's
because
That's
the generation above us everyone had kids kind of at the same time, so it was a lot of cousins, all in relatively similar ages. And Brooklyn was the pinnacle, the center of our lives. My family happened to move to Staten Island. We're one of the few that went over the Verrazano Bridge, but we all stood close. 69th Street was between 12th and 13th Avenue.
We passed by all the time.
Yes, that was where my father's sister, Aunt Caroline, that was their house, and my grandmother, that was the Sunday fried meatballs. That was the schoolyard that the cousins, we all played baseball and stickball and fastball in the schoolyards on 69th Street. And it was a great, fun, crazy, very humorous childhood.
I remember the houses on 69th Street. Growing up, we used to go there all the time.
Yeah.
Go to Grandma Semi's house.
Yeah.
Grandma Semi and Pop Joe's.
Yeah, for me,
great
and Semi,
grades.
your grandma. Yeah.
Yeah, we used to go to there. I remember that house growing up. That was almost everything we did family wise growing up there was 69th Street until Grandma Semi left.
Right. Yeah. 69th Street was definitely
Grandma
the bullseye.
Semi and Aunt Linda
right?
left.
Yes. Yeah, they were. So my grandmother was across the street,
Yeah.
Aunt Semi and Aunt Linda.
They were in the house on the other side.
Yes, it was all about 20 feet apart distance from one. The whole family.
You walk one crosswalk to the other, you're at each other's house.
Right, correct. Yes. At 13th Avenue, it was the play. The playground was up towards 12th Avenue, and around the corner on 13th Avenue were the pizzerias, the Chinese food restaurant, the candy store with the beginning of video games, snow cones, and the club. That was where the adults went.
Yeah. But yeah, that was that brought 69th Street just brought back a lot of when I was little. I remember we used to go there at least once a week almost.
Yeah, that was and I grew up when we moved to Staten Island. I started playing baseball. I played hardball, and I never played in Staten Island. For whatever reason, I started playing in Brooklyn. This was second grade, mid-70s, late 70s, and I wound up playing all my baseball, and we started playing Federation baseball. We were playing Major League rules at the age of 10 years old, was all Brooklyn. So I had a unique childhood where I had a dual life. I had Staten Island where I went to school and I had my friends there and I played football. And then I had the other life across the bridge in Brooklyn where I basically grew up with my cousins, with my cousin Jennifer and William and my Aunt Caroline. I basically lived there. Once the summertime hit, we played 70, 80 games a summer. So I was there nonstop.
Yeah. No, that's great. Now, not to jump forward a little bit, we'll jump forward a little bit. We have fire helmet. We'll go into, that's gonna be the interesting part. It's gonna be the fun part. We have a fire helmet on the table. You want to talk about that for a little bit?
Sure.
What got you from going from being a lawyer to law to what brought you from law to fire, which is very drastic.
Yeah,
obviously.
so definitely.
Big career
Hopefully, you
change.
do not follow in any
jump.
kind of the footsteps.
Right?
It's a big jump. There's a big jump.
I wasn't the smartest. I definitely it was a very unorthodox career path. I kind of graduated college. I graduated from Fordham in the Bronx, and I was kind of flip-flopping around. And I was working for a bank. I was semi-corporate world in Manhattan. At the time, it wasn't Chase yet. It was Chemical Bank before Chase gulped up and became Chemical Bank became Chase. And I was working for commercial loans, and I hated it. And it's a couple of years later, and I wound up going to law school because I thought I wanted to save the trees, and I wound up going to Pace Law School in White Plains their environmental law program was very well noted. And so I went to law school. I graduated in 3 years. I got married while I was in law school. That's when we moved. I was living in White Plains. And then when I got married, my first apartment was in Fleetwood, Mount Vernon West. And that's where my Westchester life for many years, from my mid-20s into my 30s. And I really was in love. I graduated law school. I was a lawyer. So now cousin Willie from Brooklyn on 69th Street, fast forward as adults, quote unquote, and he was working for Ranch One, the chicken restaurant in the 90s.
Yeah.
Ranch One was a big thing in the healthy fast food, grilled chicken. And I graduated law school, and William was kind of their construction facilities manager. They put up restaurants all over the place in Brooklyn and New York City. And they did it without any due regard whatsoever for regulations, rules. And they had a pile of tickets, violations from the floor to the ceiling. And I graduated law school. I passed the bar exam, luckily. And he was like, "What do you think? Can you handle this? Can you do it?" And I didn't know any better. I just said, "Yeah, sure, why not?" And so thus began my law career in Midtown in Manhattan. Working for Ranch One was my primary client. I was kind of on my own. And I really didn't love it. I did that for a couple of years. And then I wound up, the fire department thing kind of started at the end of college. My father-in-law in Staten Island, there was a little blurb about it in the newspaper. I took the written test. Fast forward a couple of years. I was in law school when the physical came. I had to cut my class, my second year evidence course, and go to Queens somewhere like at an airplane hangar for the physical. And then I got the note in the mail 2 or 3 years later, around 98, 99, that fill out the paperwork, blah, blah, blah. And I kept kind of just going along with it.
Yeah.
And like I said, I wasn't loving the law career thing. And then in 99, I got the letter saying, welcome, you're invited to be a New York City firefighter. I went to my barber shop in Yonkers, right there in the Yonkers shopping plaza. The older Italian gentleman cut my hair. I went, and I didn't want to, supposedly you had to get a crew cut.
Yeah.
And I was like, nah, I don't need to really get a crew cut. I went there and I got pulled out of class out of 300 people because my hair wasn't short enough. So I was already spotlighted, not in a good way. And I had to go back to the Italian barber. I think you got to cut it all off. Also, I was a long haired rocker guy back in the day. So cutting my hair off was almost like a venial sin.
Yeah.
And so that's began my my fire department career. For a while, I did both. I was a fireman / attorney. I was working a 24-hour shift in Brooklyn, 86th Street, 24th Avenue was my firehouse. That's what the engine, the 253 on the helmet is. And I would then work a day, night shift, and then in the morning, bring my suit to the firehouse, get dressed up, and take the train into Manhattan and do the law thing. And that's the first time I ever heard someone say, "You clean up nice." That phrase, I never heard that before. Like, you clean up nice. So it was a little, as you can imagine in a firehouse, someone being a lawyer and putting on a suit and going to work. Most guys, their side businesses are construction or landscaping or whatever. No one's really putting on a suit and going into the city. So it was a little, I caught some, good-natured, I guess, jokes. And, but that began the career. My son was born in 2001, my son Dante, December after 9/11. And we were living in Westchester, and then we wound up moving back. That's where we left Staten Island. We were one of the few who went north. A lot of the family has gone to Jersey.
Yeah.
We went north, and we were possibly going to stay up here. We loved it. And then after my son was born, all the babysitting, and my sister had a kid, and Jen, Jen and Frank, we all had kids similar time, almost like the generation before us.
Yeah.
And everyone was still down Staten Island and Brooklyn. So we were traveling every weekend, packing up everything that goes with a child and driving home on a Sunday night back to our apartment. And that got tired. And my wife's parents were like, if we needed babysitting, they weren't moving. So we're one of the few that boomeranged who left Staten Island. We went north. And then we moved back to Staten Island.
Yeah.
And and then little by little, I kind of phased out the law career, and I was just a fireman. My wife worked full time, so I did Mr. Mom and fireman. And 20 years later, in 2020, I wound up retiring, not by choice. I mean, luckily, I was one of the few that luckily found out I had World Trade Center related cancer. and I had a chance to fight. So I mean, I'm still here now, and unfortunately there's a lot of people who didn't have the chance. So I thank my guardian angels, and I'm happy to be here right here today with you.
No, that's great. And you brought that up on your own. I wasn't even gonna ask you about the.
Yeah, well, I guess I was a storytelling.
Yeah, I was like, I wasn't even gonna ask you because I know what got you to retire, but I was like, I don't know how sensitive a subject that was to bring it up. Right. But I was gonna bring up like working during 9/11, what that was like. We spoke about that earlier before the show, and we were gonna explore it more on. So if you want to like dive into that, if you're comfortable,
sure,
diving into that.
Yes,
because I know that it's a topic some people don't necessarily
right. And yeah, there are some people where
especially like frontline workers and people that were in the World Trade Center or around the city that they might not be comfortable what they saw and what it was like.
Sometimes it is tough reliving the memories.
Yeah.
So I wasn't there that morning. And it's a wild story because my wife was pregnant. My son Dante, who was born 3 months later in December. She's 6 months pregnant. She had a hard time getting pregnant for a while. We were trying a couple of years beforehand. Finally gets pregnant. I worked Monday, September 10th, the day tour. In Fire Department world, you work like a day tour and a night tour.
Yeah.
It's a shift, but they call it a tour.
Because it's like not necessarily 9 to 5.
No,
They tell you what hours they want you in, essentially.
Right. And most people in Fire Department world work a 24-hour. But it's 2 shifts. You work in like a day night or a night the next day.
My brother's friend Giancarlo, because he's a firefighter for Yonkers. Shout out him, by the way.
Nice. Yonkers FD.
That's like his thing. He's got to either do the day tour or the night tour. So it's like either he's gonna be home at like 6 a.m. or he's got to be there at like 6 a.m.
Right. Yeah, and that there are some parts in the 5 boroughs, especially in Manhattan companies. A lot of them, their day tours, the guys start at 6 so they can beat the traffic.
Yeah.
Wherever they're coming from to try to get into Manhattan for 8 o'clock. Generally, you get in an hour before the shift. So 9 o'clock, everyone's in at the latest by 8.
Yeah.
But some places make that to 6 so that the people coming in can get in without getting beat up too much with traffic. And the people going home can try to make it home before getting destroyed by traffic.
Yeah.
So I worked Monday day, September 10th. I could have worked Monday night, the 10th. And for like, I don't remember exactly. I don't know if it was someone else what needed the night off. Or you can bank a tour sometimes. If they're short bodies, you can bank a tour so that you have one to take off whenever you want in the future. And being that my first child was being born 3 months in the future, I was going to work that night. I called my wife because we had a doctor's appointment the next morning. We're in Westchester right now living. Her doctor's appointment was on the Upper East Side. She worked 59th and 3rd. That's where her office was. And she was the one who told me, no, come home. Come with me to the doctor straight. Sometimes we would meet in Manhattan from Brooklyn. My firehouse in 2001 was not that firehouse. It was Greenpoint, Brooklyn, engine 238.
Yes.
Rotated the first couple of years.
I remember you mentioning that.
Right. So I wound up going home Monday night, the 10th. And because of my wife, because of my son in her belly, I wasn't there on Tuesday morning. My house went to the World Trade Center. They were there. They were in the lobby for the first collapse in the other building. Wow. They escaped. They all got out. And then our lieutenant, Glenn Wilkinson, he was killed in the second collapse in the plaza. He was one of the first bodies actually that night, Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. One of the first bodies recovered because he was still semi-intact. And we went into his funeral was one of the first firemen's funerals because his body was recovered
so soon.
Yeah. So Tuesday night we were in the pile on top when we were working with the movie. It's funny because the Oliver Stone movie, World Trade Center.
Yeah.
We were part of the people working to get out those PA cops.
Yeah.
So we were on top of the pile. We had hose line because fire would just pop up through the stone, and we were kind of protecting the people who were down in the pile. Trying to get to the PA cops. So we were there that morning, and people from my firehouse, we didn't know about a lieutenant at that time, but we were all separated all over the place. We found out later on that he was discovered, and the truck part of my firehouse, Ladder 106, they were working with iron workers to get his body out.
Yeah.
And they recovered his body that night. Wednesday morning, we're still there, and little by little, word got filtered that we had recovered his body so that we kind of made our way back to Greenpoint at some point. I don't know if it was Wednesday or Thursday. And it was funny. Back then, not everyone had cell phones yet.
Yeah.
My wife had a cell phone because of her
They
job.
weren't-
I didn't have a cell phone myself.
Yeah. It was still
When
pagers.
I left, yes, right.
It was
yes,
still pagers and
time.
payphones.
Yes, yeah.
Like,
pay
they
phones
really
all over
weren't-
Manhattan, correct.
You know, like, everyone now has an iPhone. 2000, 2001, cell phones were just starting to come out.
Yes.
Like satellite cell phones.
Yes, she had like the Captain Kirk.
Yeah, like the flip phone. They were just starting to come out, so it wasn't common for everyone,
correct,
and their mother to have a cell phone to call people.
She gave when I left. So I'm with her on Tuesday morning, on the 11th. We're about to go from our apartment in Mount Vernon. We're going to drive into Manhattan to go to the doctor, and we had the super of the building we lived in was like a funny kind of jolly overweight super guy. And he's like, "Oh, Stevie boy, a plane just crashed at the World Trade Center."
What?
And I'm like, "All right, Tony, get out. Yeah, whatever." And first of all, I thought he was maybe he was drunk already.
Yeah, if you didn't see it on the news in that moment.
We were leaving we're probably getting into the car around 8:30. So the first plane might have just hit. And whatever. I presumed it was like a two motor, like one of those small private planes. And I thought he was just, didn't know what he was talking about. So we get in the car, we're heading down to Henry Hudson. And now we're listening to the traffic on the radio. And that's when we heard that the poop was hitting the fan.
Yeah.
I'll try not to
That's
curse
fine. You can say that. Yeah.
So we were on the Henry Hudson in the Bronx. We hadn't crossed over that bridge yet to get to Manhattan. And I was able to get off the exit. They were just beginning to shut down Manhattan. And we made it back to our apartment. And my wife and my wife's having a heart attack. She's watching what's happening. And we watched the first tower fall. They said they put out the recall for all cops, firemen.
At that point, they just needed everyone even if you weren't even working.
Yes, everyone
that day you needed to go in.
Right.
They needed every hand.
Yeah, all hands on deck.
Literally every hand that's hired by any department that could work, that's qualified to work.
Yeah.
You need to be, which is insane that it was something that magnitude that was never seen before.
I have a funny story about my dad when he was working corrections during that time. I can't say it on air because it's hilarious.
But you can tell us after.
But I'm gonna tell you guys after. It's it's honestly one of my
I know this
favorite. I think you know which one this is.
I know this story, so yeah, you got to say it after the fact. But we'll cheat the audience watching.
That is a good tease.
But anyway, back
Let's
to what
just
we were
say
saying.
My father got mad.
Yeah, which is like back to what I was saying. I was like, it's insane that up until then you never had something of that magnitude where you need that many
guys,
local. Not government official, like not like military level stuff.
Right.
Like something that hit home in New York where you need that many local heroes to come in.
Right.
And that's the only word you can use for them. For people like heroes. On
the ride in, and so when my wife, this is kind of one of the more emotional parts. She's on my legs because she's 6 months pregnant. And she's like saying, no, F this, don't go in. Go back to being a lawyer. Quit. You can't die with me with the baby in our belly. I'm gonna give birth to us. You're gonna die today, and you're not gonna see your son. I'm like, and she was a little dramatic, but what we were seeing, you didn't know what was the future held on that day. Yes,
yeah.
If it was war and if Manhattan was gonna be bombed, who knew what was happening? So I had to get her off my legs, and I jumped in the car, and she gave me her cell phone when I left. So that's how I have her cell phone. So later on, that's her cell phone probably traveled through 200 to 300 people's hands because after we were on the pile in the middle of the night, so Wednesday morning, 5, 6 in the morning, we leave the pile and we crash out at some building on Broadway. And we're in the lobby of whatever building it was, and no one had a phone. And so her phone there was a couple hundred people in there, and her phone was basically the call that everyone made back to their houses to say, I'm still alive, I'm here. And it was so her phone was like the good news phone to many people. The one cell phone, that little flip phone that she gave me when I left. One other thing that was wild and creepy, and it kind of reminds me of the movie 28 Days Later. when I was driving it, so now I'm in the car and I'm heading into Manhattan from Lower Westchester.
Yeah.
Oh, and like
everything's closed. You know, there's no one on the highway. Everything is closed, and it's about probably by the time this is happening, it's probably about 11 a.m., 10:30, whatever it was. Everyone on the highway heading into Manhattan were all just cops and firemen, and there wasn't a lot of us. But when you were driving, you looked to the car, and it was someone either with a cop hat or a fireman hat. And when I think I took, if I remember correctly, I came down. I might have took the Triborough Bridge. Trying to remember how I got it because I had to get to Greenpoint, Brooklyn. And it was such a beautiful day. I mean, it was a beautiful morning, blue skies and sunshine, not a cloud in the sky. And once, whatever point where the vision from the ride where you could see Manhattan, it was just the black clouds of the fire of the World Trade Center. I saw it from Queens. And so you knew from then what you were driving towards, and you didn't know what the future held. And it was so quiet. It was so quiet. And the radio was the only thing I had on, listening to news reports as you were driving to your firehouse. That was one of the weirdest rides into, as someone who's grew up in this city, a native New Yorker, and has sat traffic all my life. There was no traffic. I probably saw about 20 cars. We all were like driving together, the cops, firemen, doctors, and whatever who were heading into Manhattan. And I remember so clearly if you looked at the person next to you, it was with like, a good luck, and we don't know where we're heading, but it was like the unspoken words.
We don't know where we're heading.
From a car next to you.
You don't know what's going to happen.
On a barren highway. Yeah, right. Yes.
Well, because I remember, reading and hearing stories, everything was shut down.
Yeah.
Any entrance point to the city was shut down for almost a week.
Yes.
So the only people that you had to like show credentials to get in the city, like that you were
correct.
Well,
I
remember your cousin's husband was in the city when that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you had to like show like a card or a badge to get into the city to show that you're going to help with rescue efforts.
Right.
They wouldn't just let anyone in.
I think there were guys, my dad said that he was working with that. They had to go down there. Yeah.
They needed anyone.
Yeah, there were a lot. It was wild those days on like the 12th to 13th. We were down there every day. So we made our way back to the firehouse when we heard about our lieutenant who had unfortunately lost his life. And then there was like the skeleton crew at the firehouse, because God forbid if anything happened in that area of Brooklyn. And then everyone else was going back to Manhattan. And it was so wild. One of the things, so quickly, all the other people from different cities all over America who were making their way to Manhattan just to help out without saying a word. So you saw fire department helmets from upstate New York, from Long Island. You saw from neighboring states, Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, Baltimore, just very quickly. And military people. You saw different military uniforms. It was wild how you saw people from all over America basically all getting to Manhattan to help out in any way they could that quickly.
Yeah. Anything you want to add, Dom? Because
no,
we've been talking mostly. You just been saying
because it's just
no,
it's not your fault.
It's not even you, more me. Like I'm asking everything and prompting it all. I feel bad for Dom.
I'm just sitting here. I'm listening because to me, like that's just a time I always wanted to just learn about. So actually, to getting to learn about it is just like that's just as interesting to me. So. I'm just like listening or whatever and picking up any information because everything I hear is it was the nice and sunny day and then this ended up happening. But to actually
this is like the first time we're really hearing from someone that was there.
Yeah, exactly. This
like
is the
I've
first
heard
time
stories before from you, from Uncle Frank. Uncle Frank was there with sanitation. Like we've heard stories before, but this is the first time like you're hearing it on air on the radio. Someone bringing this stuff in. It's like it's different. It's different for me to hear it in this setting of a radio talk show than familial setting where it comes up naturally, because it's like you're getting not as much detail on it, but you're getting more stories to it than what we like a lot of the stuff you mentioned we've talked about before, but I was like, it would be great to put it out there for a story.
Right.
And let like other people hear your experience with something like that. Because that's a day everyone has a story.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like every person that was alive to witness it or old enough to remember it has a story of where they were and what they were doing before it happened. So,
it's wild. It's wild how a traumatic event, the extra hugeness of it, how it crystallizes people's memories.
Yeah.
You know, you can't, if you think back to what you did on September 10th or September 9th, or most people, you have no idea what you did then. But that day, because of the hugeness of it and the power of it in both horrible ways and some good ways, because some of the things that you saw, the good stuff and the miracles of those two guys that were gotten out.
Yeah.
The memories are so clear. I mean, when I'm telling these stories, it's mind-boggling that it's going to be 25 years come September.
Yeah,
because it feels like yesterday.
And I remember, like I was watching a video of this like a long time with these people I used to watch on YouTube, and of this YouTube channel I used to watch, and they were in college at the point this had happened, and he actually showed footage of like the burning of the tower, because if I remember correctly, I think they went to Pratt, and Pratt's not that far
Pratt, yeah,
from the World Trade, so they were able to see. But like I said, my second cousin's husband was in the city working at that time.
Right.
I don't know if he saw it, but I definitely know that he like had to like get out of there fast.
Right.
Like my father too. You probably know my father was there that day in the city. He was in he was working at the bank. He was working at an old Italian bank in the city. And to get home from the city, he had to walk across the Brooklyn Bridge, downtown Brooklyn, and then to walk home, because the second that happened, every transportation in and out of the city was shut down. He goes, I walked towards the water and then walked towards the Brooklyn Bridge.
Right.
Because he goes, like, that's part of like his story to it, to bring in a different perspective.
Yeah.
He goes, I was working there. He goes, we saw it on the news. They let us leave. And like, I had to walk across the Brooklyn Bridge to get home. He goes, I made a makeshift like bandana out of my shirt and tie to cover my face, so I didn't breathe in as much. And like to walk.
Which is smart. I mean,
yeah, it's like, again, like everyone has their own story.
Yeah.
And it's like you said, it's like one of those days, like you don't remember details of the day before or the day after, but it's a day no one ever forgets.
Right. And that's the power of trauma. You don't realize when something happens and it makes such an impact on our souls, any human being, and whether you overcome it or people who get burdened by it so long. Yeah. Because whatever it does in our subconscious, our consciousness, it hits hard, and you remember it forever, and you feel it forever.
Yeah. Like when you read things about it, you see people write about like this was like the last time, to not be political, but this is the last time like the United States was truly united as one full nation, where there was no political divide. Like there's always a political divide in any country when there's a two-sided political party where it's not like one-sided regime. But they said 9/11 was the last time where both sides of the party were able to unite in the entire country.
Right.
And it's sad that a tragedy took that, but that's like when you said the good of it was, everyone was united as one, instead of, everyone put down, disagreements, whether it was whatever political disagreements, and just unite as a country to help, benefit. It wasn't about what you believed. It was about everything else about the country and putting the country first.
There were moments that week. So now it's after. So it's like probably the Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. But later on in that week, we're back at our firehouse in Greenpoint, and then we'd get called to Manhattan. So we'd drive the fire truck into Manhattan, and the highways were still empty. And this is a very clear memory also talking about this part. So we would come from Greenpoint, we would take the BQE down, and we went through the tunnel. And when we came out of the tunnel, the West Side Highway right there in Lower Manhattan, when you come out of the former Brooklyn Battery Tunnel.
I still call it the Battery Tunnel.
Right, yes. So we came out of the tunnel, and it was like basically the World Series parade.
Yeah.
It was lined on both sides with people. I'm going to get a little emotional. But people like were giving standing ovations. To just like, because we were just like a fire truck.
Yeah, of course.
But they were just talking about, it was just, there was no
being united,
there was no division. It was just like, thank you to the firemen, the police officers, the nurses, and the doctors,
everyone that was working.
It was mind-boggling. It was, it wasn't, none of us were expecting that. We're just doing our job. We didn't need a standing ovation to do.
You were just doing what you were hired to do.
Right. Yes. But that happened, and that made an impact too. And that happened a couple of times. We were up by Union Square for some reason. And the people, it was one of the sadder parts. It's so clear the memory also of the pictures of all the family members, people that unfortunately who died at the World Trade Center,
missing at the time.
Yes, and right now it's only missing, and families are just hoping beyond hope that someone will show up. Yeah, so Union Square was plastered with pictures of all people who at that time were missing. And for whatever reason, I don't know, remember what was going on, but the fire truck, we were up by Union Square, and all the people came out of the park, and same thing, just, completely unplanned, unsolicited, spontaneous eruption of just like human warmth, just clapping and, thanks and blowing kisses. It was just, it was very touching. And that's the part of the thing of the silver lining, if there could possibly be one after 9/11. But there was a lot of warmth and love and unity as a result.
Yeah. And I feel like, it's just that something so horrible had to bring it.
Yeah.
But the fact that at the same time, the fact that something so horrible and something so catastrophic and tragic was able to bring unity at the same time shows how strong of a nation the United States can be if they,
and the human spirit,
and how strong a human spirit can be if everyone, puts a little effort in.
Right. Absolutely.
Instead of, allowing these divisions that don't need to be necessarily made, that are like things that aren't as important. Like a political division isn't important in life. When you look at there's so much more, if you just have unity and respect for each other.
Right. Absolutely. It's really, it's relatively simple, but I guess it gets complex. People get a little
too emotional, too passionate about things.
Right.
Anyway, to pivot a little bit,
I'm not gonna lie, even just you talking about it was starting to make me emotional.
I saw your face.
Like, wow.
I want to keep the topic on fire, but I want to go into
because it's just such a huge.
Not to change it because it's still interesting. I could do the whole show about September 11th and the experience of a firefighter there. But I want to break it up a little bit. We have some other stuff you want to show. What else?
Sure.
He brought a couple of memorabilia, I would say, or
So this is
some of his old
fire
gear.
Retired from the fire department, not by choice, but thankfully I'm still here. So but that was a weird thing
talk,
too.
You could. If you want to talk about that after, you could if you're open.
So this is, and you guys can keep this. I mean, I have like 5 of them. This is clean, and it's just going to sit in my closet. If you want it, it's yours. If you don't want it,
you won't.
So this is the long sleeve. This is the This is a work duty uniform.
Wow.
And so this is the long sleeve. I probably wore this once in 2000 because I sweat like a maniac.
Yeah,
so do I.
So I never wore those.
But you have.
So this is what you got, and when you retired, they don't ask for it back. So these are going to sit in my closet. You just keep, yes.
It's like my father. It's like my father and his correction gear. I swear.
And so this is the polo shirt.
Ooh, that's nice.
And this is was probably worn once. Like this is 25 years old, or 20 years old, but it's still the actual blue. So if one of you want it, feel free. This is the shorts. So this is FDNY, and look, it's still got
the tag. Yeah.
So this is what firehouses all over the 5 boroughs. So generally,
you sure we can keep these?
Yeah, so, don't rob a bank with them.
No, I feel bad taking them in general. I feel bad taking it in general because of yours.
But I have, so I have many doubles or triples. My kids have it. So when I retired, you have every year you get 2 of each new because generally they're falling apart. So my closet was, I had about 100 of them.
Yeah.
And so I've given out. So I have my own at home
that you keep.
Yes, and those are just going to sit in my closet. So we move 30 years from now, and they're going to get thrown out. So if you want, you don't have to take them.
I'll take them. I just didn't want to.
No, whatever. So
if you didn't, if you didn't buy,
wow. So you don't pay for them. So I didn't pay for them, and they're yours if you want it.
Thank you.
Don't do anything. Don't
do anything illegal. Yeah.
Put my name on it, but then that's your name now.
Of course not.
So that's what people are wearing all over the 5 boroughs.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when we were in the firehouse, I mean, not that I was a rebel or anything, but I used to wear just the fire. If you see there's a lot of t-shirts.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
so a lot. You're not quote unquote not supposed to. You're supposed to wear the correct uniform. But I drove off. I had a captain who. You got to put a real shirt on. Like, all right, later on, Captain.
I've never really seen FDN, like wear the polos and whatever.
Right.
Now
Yeah.
it's always like the
No, but-
t-shirts and they have
yes.
like the suspenders with their fire pants.
Right,
Oh,
yes.
now I wish I
Like
had the shirt
holding it
with
up.
me. So, like I said, because one of my brother's best friends is the Yonkers firefighter. He gave us he gave me and my brother Yonkers firefighter shirts, and it's in the Ghostbusters logo.
Oh,
I
okay.
really wish if I can find a picture, if I can find the picture of it, I will
Right,
show
yes.
you. It is really cool that he was
Yes.
able to get us one of those.
That is like a big kind of unwritten competition amongst firehouses. Who has the best logo? Who has the best?
Yeah, like
they make up their T-shirt, and that's on every firehouse. Pretty much makes up their own T-shirts, and that's if you go. Randall's Island is where fire department training headquarters is.
I played baseball there for high school. Or coached, so I know exactly.
Yeah, right. So that's where fire department training quarters are, and inside, like the main building, there's a lot of it's the patches. Everyone has they have every patch from every firehouse. And every firehouse makes their own logo for the patch that you put on your jacket or on the bunker gear.
I have one, like the iron-on patches.
Right.
My cousin, when he first got into the FDNY, gave me one. It has like the Statue of Liberty's face on it, and it says like FDNY. It's something similar to the one that's on the long sleeve jacket.
Right. Okay.
But it's a little bit newer. It's like the newer patch that they use.
Right. That's
So,
the
like,
guy who is
The
EMT.
one yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't know if, they gave it to me then, and I still have it in my room, like on my wall,
Right.
or like on my desk or whatever, because I can't iron it onto anything, obviously,
Right.
because I'm not going to wear an FDNY like official fire patch on a regular T-shirt like this.
Right.
But I still have that patch next to my bed.
Yeah.
I can't find the shirt. I'm very upset, but it was a nice shirt. I wish I wore it today.
Right.
Or I wish I brought it. But no, it's interesting to hear about this again, the stories that goes on in the firehouse and everything.
There's just so much to it.
What's my first day when I got to after Proby school? So Proby school is at Randall's Island.
Yeah.
And it was 13 weeks, 5 days a week. And then you finally get assigned to your firehouse, and that's going to be your home base. My first day when I went to Brooklyn Engine 253, I'm wearing the long pants, the long shirt, tucked in, and all prim and proper and official. Your first day, you're a Proby. And I got out. My Proby school ended right around this time. It was like late April of 2000. And it was cleanup time, spring cleaning. Every firehouse has like a spring inspection by the chiefs. So every firehouse gets to be the cleanest it's going to be for the year around springtime. And the chief comes and visits, and it gives them the check of approval. And then it turns into a garbage dump again for a year. So I got there right when spring cleaning was happening. So I was given the broom and the mop and this and that. My point of the story is I was with the long sleeve shirt and the long pants on. I was literally dripping like the guy from the movie Airplane. The sweat was pouring off of me. And one of the guys was like, Jesus Christ, your nickname is officially the Gland. And so thankfully that one didn't stick. But because Bubba, Bubba came from my real life, from high school days, and it just stood the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And it also crossed over at the firehouse world. So, but the Gland, for one day, I was known as the Gland because the sweat was just pouring off of me as I tried sweeping up an alleyway.
Speaking again, I've always remembered Bubba. Very rarely I've ever seen anyone call you Steve or Steven.
But no one really does. Like once it gets beyond the first introduction, like anyone who knows me, there's a lot of people who don't even know my name. My first name is Steven.
Yeah.
It's just been Bubba since high school football.
Like when I was telling Dom, my uncle's coming on the show. I was like, his name. I was like, Bubba. He goes, Bubba. I'm like, hey, I told him like his name's Steven, but I've never really seen anyone ever call him that. Growing up, I always heard everyone refer to him, including myself. It's just Bubba.
Right.
So it was like,
it's an easy word too.
I'm like,
Kids
it's an easy word.
It's easy to remember.
Yeah. So I'm like, you could just call him that if he's comfortable with it. If he says it, just go with Bubba instead of Steven. Like that's where everyone calls him.
Right.
Because Dom was like, is there anything I should call him specifically when he was gonna meet you? I'm like, Bubba.
Bubba.
I tell you on the phone last week, 2 weeks
Yeah,
ago.
Bubba.
I'm like, Bubba. I'm like, unless he introduces himself as like, hi, I'm Steven, then you call him Steven, but Bubba. What are you looking for? What were you looking for, Dom?
No, I'm just
Mr. Barden.
Yeah, because
Mr.
Manny's
Barden.
not coming.
Okay. No, so no, that's that. Anything else you want to talk about? Whatever you want. Sure hour.
we
We still have a lot of time. We started like 15 minutes early, so we have till 3:30. We started.
Oh,
like,
look, that's my firehouse. That's what time it is.
2:53. We technically ended 3:30, so we still have a lot of time.
Okay. Well, it's funny. You just have. I saw a picture of the Jets there on. It would be nice if some year we get a successful season again.
I don't even want a Super Bowl at this point. I just want playoffs.
just a plus 500 record.
Just the hope of being in the playoffs to play for the Super Bowl. I don't even want Super Bowl expectations anymore.
Now maybe how about we'll start with relevance. Let's just be a relevant team throughout most of the season.
8 games. If we win 8 games with Geno Smith, I'd be surprised. I never thought I'd say that. After 2015, I never thought I'd say Geno Smith would win 8 games with the Jets. Here we are 10 years later, 11 years later.
Yes. I don't know what goes wrong. I've made this joke, and I started this, and other people, other Jet fans, I'm sure I've said the same thing. So back in '69, Mr. Joe Willie Namath, and I wish him no ill will. I love, thank God he gave the Jets.
Sold his soul for that ring.
he sold his soul for that ring.
Not his. He sold the soul of the organization.
Yeah.
That's why, and sometimes every little, whatever decade or 2 decades, we get close, and then the rug gets pulled out unceremoniously right at the last second. So we get close to just torture the fans for a little bit, and then of course all hell breaks loose, and the golden ring never comes to our fingers. But I wish Joe Willie Namath no ill will, but I don't think anything good's going to happen to the Jets. For I don't know what the time limit is.
And somehow, I think if I'm right, every team that we lost to in the AFC Championship game went on to win the Super Bowl outside of the Marino year.
Yeah.
The year they lost to Dan Marino, I think every team they lost to.
Oh, wow.
I think every team
that wasn't them when they lost. If you're going back to the Dolphins, the Mud Bowl.
When AJ do it. Was that Marino?
No, that was when they got blown. That was David Woodley, the quarterback before Marino.
But they didn't win either way, Miami. I think.
Right, they didn't
Super
win.
Bowl.
Correct. They got blown out by the Redskins, I think.
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, it might have been John Riggins, former Jet, who was the MVP of the Super Bowl, who won it with the Redskins after the Jets let him go or he retired. And then came back for a second career with the Redskins.
The amount of legends the Jets let go.
Oh, my
before
goodness.
They become legends.
Oh.
Not even legends, just players that are horrible with the Jets. Like Sam Darnold, he's not an NFL legend.
No.
But,
he's still playing, bro.
We trade him after 2.5 seasons. The guy becomes a Super Bowl champion, MVP caliber quarterback. We're still looking for a franchise QB.
Mind-boggling.
I was upset because I really liked Fields. I thought Fields was going to be it for you guys. The fact that Fields,
because it had potential to be something the Jets have never had.
Yeah.
A Michael Vick type of quarterback play where you get an extra element to offense and they just decided not to use it.
Well, but he was already let go by two teams beforehand. There's a reason why, whatever happened, he shows flashes, and unfortunately, it's not consistent.
Yeah.
Right.
It was almost like Zach Wilson in a sense.
Right. Yeah. For a second, Zach Wilson.
Like you had those 1 to 2 games a year with Zach Wilson where he looked like he could be the guy, and then you had 14 games where he throws for 80 yards.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this week, a former Jet passed away.
Yeah.
Rest in peace to Browning Nagel.
Yeah.
So this is before your time, but a couple of friends of mine and myself, Browning Nagel, back when he was drafted by the Jets, for a second, he was like, oh my God, he's pretty good. And he gave the false flash and then, crashed and burned, unfortunately, which is, for some reason, that history seems to repeat itself.
Yeah.
Like we've had Hall of Fame running backs, Hall of Fame wide receivers,
defensives,
Hall of Fame defensive lines, the sack exchange, corners, and we've had the pieces to win.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Like we've had the teams to win. If you got a guy that just played, you don't even need an Aaron Rodgers level quarterback when we got Aaron Rodgers. With the team we had when we got Rodgers, if you had a Derek Carr, a healthy Derek Carr, you probably win 10 games and make the playoffs.
Right. Yeah. That's a good point.
But how good the defense was. You just get a guy that can throw give us 3,000 yards and 20 touchdowns.
Right.
You make maybe not the playoff, but you look like a competent football team.
Correct. A competent football team. That's not a joke.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right.
We put the amount of great elite defenses we put on the field, under Rex Ryan and under Robert Saleh.
Right.
And, Robert Saleh had a lot of flaws as a coach, but he had the defense play from every week. We had the best defense in the league under him for 3 years.
Right.
You never once gave him a competent enough offense to win, and then
Not
fired
even
him
close.
halfway.
Yes.
through
And
a
unfortunately,
season
we
where-
seem to only hire completely incompetent offensive coordinators.
Yeah.
They seem to have a little bit of success prior to us, but then it's the curse of the green. You put that green on, and it's not like the Eagles green. There's something about Jets green. And maybe it's because they're in the Meadowlands and there's toxic waste underneath, and Jimmy Hoffa's spirit is still pissed off from being buried underneath the Meadowlands. But that green and the Meadowlands, things don't work out well. The curse of the green is so obscene.
I remember this is the first time I think where we had a competent enough OC is Frank Reich. Because this guy's been a head coach twice, and he's had good offenses.
Yeah.
So let's see what a prototypical.
And he's a smart, competent human, and he's played in the NFL. He was a really good quarterback.
He was a Jet quarterback.
Yes. Yeah.
But that was at the end of his career,
right.
So that's like not.
Well, that's like the Jets sometimes have like the '80s Yankees. I don't know, the '80s Yankees before they got good again in the '90s. That was the land where careers went to end, where all superstars. At the end of their career, that's
exactly. Like the Yankees do that now. Doing that now again.
Yeah, a little bit.
I just wrote the coach sucks. Talking about the Jets, coach sucks. But like you look at the Yankees now, and I'm not doing it to talk bad today, but they kind of do the same thing. Like they went and get Paul Goldschmidt, Cody Bellinger's still in his prime, but you get a guy like
Cody's 30, I want to say
30, like 131. You get a guy like Paul Goldschmidt. Who, like Goldschmidt was one of the best first basemen in baseball.
Yeah.
He should have retired 5 years ago. Or I'm trying to think who else they have.
But I guess Goldschmidt could give you hope. You can't ask too much from him because his body's kind of beat up. Yeah. So after like 400 at bats, all of a sudden the numbers go down or whatever it is as you get older and older.
And you could prolong that with having Ben Rice play first as well.
Right.
That you're able to prolong how long in a season he could play at once.
Right.
On a random side note, I just saw Corey Seager's 31. I thought he was older. I thought he was way older.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a team, if you want to talk about baseball, that's, not slowing down the Dodgers.
Don't even get me started.
We said this.
Don't even get me started.
We said this in the earlier show. There's two teams that look like they know how to play baseball right now.
And it's the Dodgers and the Angels.
Yeah.
The Angels are just hot. They're not that good of a team. They're just hot. And the Dodgers are the Dodgers.
It's nice. I hope Mike Trout gets to have a season without an injury. Because he seems like a good guy. He seems like an honorable superstar who's been afflicted with injuries, unfortunately, too much of his career.
He would be well above in the Hall of Fame. Like he still probably is a Hall of Famer with the numbers he has.
Yeah, I
but
think
he would be like undoubtedly not like first ballot Hall of Fame had he not had like these last 5 years worth of injuries.
Correct.
Because before he started getting hurt in like 2020, 2021, he was arguably the best outfielder, best player.
He's
in baseball.
a 3-time MVP. There's not many triple MVPs.
And the Angels also just don't build around him. And
correct.
When they do, they burn it on players outside of getting Ohtani to come over from overseas, who left anyway.
Right. Well, the Dodgers have the best record. They're 14.
They're gonna have the best record in baseball again.
And then right behind
there's
them,
no one that's gonna
Atlanta.
Beat them. There's no one really to beat them unless you get like a surprise team like Atlanta or someone to come out. There's really nobody, not even in the AL.
It's hard to imagine anyone matching up with their pitching.
No, exactly.
And they're hitting, I guess. If the lineup is stacked, they're pitching it. And then you got Ohtani, who's just, generational magic. It's unbelievable.
One of the best. People could say he's the best baseball player of all time.
Right.
I wouldn't go that far.
I think there's a lot of players that are better.
Oh, 100%.
But he'll definitely finish maybe like top 10, top 15.
Oh, I'm not saying that he won't finish a top 10 player of all time, but I think to say that he's the best player in baseball ever is like a stretch. It's the same thing with an argument I have.
He's not even the best player in baseball now.
It's the same thing I have with like an argument I always have in wrestling. That how people say Kenny Omega is the best wrestler of all time.
Yeah.
He's one of the best wrestlers of all time, but he's not the best wrestler of all time.
The best wrestler of all time is Hulk Hogan. No. You want to go old school Hulk Hogan?
You want to go old school Macho
Bring
Man?
it old school for Bubba. Old school wrestling when he was a kid.
For all the Channel 9 wrestling people, Bruno Sammartino.
Yes, that's my grandparent. My grandparent's
Superfly
favorite.
Snooker.
Superfly Snooker.
Remember when he jumped
Macho
off the steel
Man.
cage? That was an experience to see that, probably watch him jump off the top of the cage.
Yes.
Back in the day.
Not Hugo. Andre the
Andre
Giant.
Giant.
Hogan.
You imitate him really well.
I don't know why. I just do it really
You
good.
do Andre really well though. But that's like
I mean, I'm built like him.
You honestly segued us perfect into bringing up something else.
You're a lot better looking than Andre.
You segued us perfectly into bringing up something. And we can relate it to old school because now we have someone we talk about old school wrestling, like 80s, 90s wrestlers, like Macho Man.
I will forever
George
say
the Animal Steel.
Oh, you know what? I wish I could. George the Animal Steel might be some. If my wife could call in. So one of our friends who is a New Rochelle girl, Maureen, whatever, or maybe it's Hacksaw. There's someone in wrestling, old school wrestling world, that is the father of a good friend of mine.
Wow.
And grew up in like Rockland County.
Wow.
I don't think it would be George because I don't think George is from New York.
Okay, that's.
I want to look though.
My dad's texting us during some of the topping points. He goes, "I was at WrestleMania 1." I'm gonna shout him out for that. That was great. That must have been a great memory to see that live.
Should we keep talking about the Jets, Joe, or should we stop so you don't crash your car on the way home?
I think
Good luck getting home, by the way, with the Yankee game.
Oh, that's gonna be 4:00.
Which right now they're actually beating the Angels top of the fifth.
Oh,
3-2,
nice.
So,
What's the score?
3-2.
Okay.
So nothing too bad.
I remember we were watching. I was actually it's because of the whole WWE catalog because of their new like broadcast deals on Netflix now. I was watching.
Is that going to be good or?
That's good because it's only Monday Night Raw that they brought. It's only their Monday Night Raw now.
They have on Netflix, yeah.
It's on Netflix. Everything else is on cable. But
Yeah.
Being that they have a deal with Netflix for Monday Night Raw, Netflix also bought their whole catalog.
Yeah, so you can watch all the archival stuff.
Oh,
yeah.
that's interesting.
He goes no to the Jets. And thanks for the wish and luck on the ride home. But they bought the streaming rights to WWE's whole catalog from WrestleMania 1 to WrestleMania 42 or whatever they're at.
40, whatever. They got it from until like WrestlePalooza from what the last time I saw.
They have every single event that's ever happened in WWE that was a pay-per-view. So even if it was a one-off, like when they bought
my favorite, I'm gonna go with like Breaking Point. You want to watch Breaking Point 2009? You can watch that.
When they bought ECW and did the merger with ECW,
yeah, the one night stand. Yeah,
anything you want to watch WWE owned is on Netflix now.
Ah, wow.
You have a basic Netflix subscription, you get it all.
Yeah. Hey, the only thing you couldn't watch would just be like SmackDown because that's on cable.
Yeah, like was that Friday night now?
Yeah, Friday night. That's on USA, and then
basically anything that's on cable or live pay-per-views.
That's going to be on ESPN, which
it's
so stupid though because the ESPN thing. It's a great idea to have the WWE on ESPN, and I've had this multiple times, so I'm not trying to get my blood boiled up because I've yelled. I am a big wrestling fan,
right.
So I love the idea of going to ESPN, but the fact that ESPN is like you got to pay like another $30 more for a different plan to watch the events.
Right.
When if you had like a Verizon account to ESPN or like an Optimum account to ESPN, you could watch it through their accounts.
Right.
But that's like a whole like court settlement in itself.
Yeah, they had to go to court for this stuff.
Oh wow!
Now, if you're in like London though, or you're anywhere in Europe. If you have basic Netflix that's registered in a European country,
you could just watch it.
Based off VPN, you get the pay-per-views included with your Netflix subscription without having to pay extra.
Yeah.
So it's really just in the US where the big money, because the US is their biggest market probably for fans.
Yeah, anyone in Europe is just like gravy. They just, I guess, happy to try to hook
It's
someone.
like the same thing.
With the United States is their biggest market, because it's an American-based product.
Right.
Like even in Canada, if you have a Netflix Canada, you're getting it on Netflix.
Yeah. Even if you're in Canada,
WWE on Netflix. If you're in like South America, like Colombia, Brazil, like these South American countries,
you're still getting it on Netflix.
You get WWE on Netflix basically for free outside of paying a basic Netflix subscription a month. And then also I just want to mention because my dad just mentioned it. We were just talking about Jimmy Snuka jumping off the steel cage. He would just text. He goes, I was there for that too. That was that's right. He was there because he goes, I remember you just saw a flash of light when he jumped from like the media sections. You just saw flashes of light taking pictures of him midair. Remember when he came back at the 08 Rumble?
Was it 08 Rumble?
He was like 60 years old in the leopard leotard.
Yeah.
He came out. It was like 2007.
It was like around.
He had to be
time.
in like his late 50s, early 60s. He came out in like the one-piece leotard leopard that he used to wear. It looked like the leopard. And he came back to the Royal Rumble and got knocked down in like 3 minutes. He could barely move in the ring. The poor guy. Him and Rowdy Piper came out. They could barely walk over the ropes to get in the ring. Meanwhile, you think 30 years ago, these guys were the best of the best.
Right, yes.
Now they can't even get in the ring anymore.
Oh, their body takes a beating.
Yeah, wrestling is probably WWE wrestling is probably.
It was 08. Yeah, it was 08.
Like WWE entertainment wrestling, you take probably a bigger beating because it's for a show. So you're doing these moves that don't exist in actual professional wrestling.
Right.
Like they take the sport of wrestling. Like some of the moves are real wrestling moves. Like some of the submission moves are real wrestling moves.
Yeah, even like stuff like a suplex or
like a suplex, whatever. But then you got guys frog splashing off the top rope.
Yeah,
that's for the entertainment value, or
the punches getting thrown,
or the punches, or the drop kicks and whatever. Those are all entertainment value. So these guys take more of a beating, but it's still fun to watch.
Yeah, no. Even though I'm not excited at all or happy with this company in the past recent months.
I'd rather watch that than, like we said before, the Jets.
Yeah, I mean,
did you see the movie, the wrestling movie about the family?
Yes, the Iron Claw. Yes, beautiful film.
Yes,
just a beautiful movie.
But so I don't know if you remember, we watched that. My wife and I watched that movie, thinking it was kind of the preview. Kind of looks sunny. It looks like it's going to be a comedy. You don't realize what you're in for with the family tragedies and drama.
Well, that family is
I didn't know the backstory. So.
Yeah, that's a true story.
Right, I know it.
I think like out of the year of 2023, the movies that came out, I would say it's my favorite movie that year.
Powerful movie.
Yeah.
It was unexpected. I wasn't prepared for it by what the trailer gave out.
Yeah.
The only one that's alive is Kerry Von Erich, I think. Or Kevin Von Erich. And I think his two sons are in WWE, not WWE, AEW.
It's either AEW or like
Ring of Honor.
NWA.
They're in like one of these smaller wrestling promotions, but they don't go by the Von Erich name. They go by different names.
No, I think they go by.
I thought they didn't go by the Von Erichs. I thought they changed it up to change the gimmick. I guess the Von Erichs is still going, huh?
I mean, I would think if it's a name that's known, why would you want to take advantage of that?
The same thing with Flair or Rhodes. You know what I mean?
Like Dusty Rhodes, the Nature Boy.
I wonder if my wife heard that. Like, find out which person is whose father was a big time classic wrestling guy.
I want to see if I can find this now.
It feels funny checking my phone during a podcast.
Yeah,
I feel like there's dead air. What are you doing? You gotta fill the air.
Yeah, no. So I was just thinking of because we're getting close to time to wrap it up. If there's any final thoughts you want to say before we wrap
up,
it's
AEW. It's AEW.
Anything you want to end on? Like any final thoughts for the week?
Not really.
I mean, we could plug
Knicks playoffs. I just want the Knicks to win.
Yeah, Knicks playoffs Saturday.
I'm a big basketball.
Fan, so I was, my friends and I. Back when we actually went to Knicks play, I was at the Reggie Miller game. I was at the friggin' watching Reggie Miller put a dagger through everyone in Madison Square Garden. I refused to watch the Michael Jordan special, the Jordan Rules. The documentary about
The Last Dance.
Okay. Because I lived, I don't want to hear, I don't care what he went through and what the drama was. As a Knicks fan, I just had to live with Michael Jordan and the Bulls beating the Knicks every year. And then the one year when Jordan, went to go play baseball or whatever, then the Knicks had to, got to lose to the Rockets. And OJ Simpson had to drive around in LA right during the middle of the Knicks Rockets championship game.
Yeah.
I was out and they cut to OJ Simpson being trailed, by the police. And no one at the bar cared about OJ Simpson. We wanted the Knicks game back on.
Yeah, of course.
No,
and John Starks, who had a phenomenal season, shot 3 for 21 in just the wrong game of his career.
Yeah, I met John. Nice
yes,
guy.
He seems like
John
a great
Starks?
dude.
Yeah, we met him here. Yeah,
came to my middle school graduation.
Did he?
he speaks at my middle. I don't know if he still did, but when I graduated, they would used to get him to speak because one of the students who passed away at the middle school was a diehard Knicks fan, so they got a Knicks alum to come every year. It was always John Starks volunteered every year to be a Knicks alum and come speak at the middle school graduation.
Right.
And like the two highest students, like 2 honor roll students, would get like an award. Like they got like an iPad and stuff through it, funded, paid for through the school. Like it was their own property. The school would buy them like an iPad or whatever, and he would present them with the award.
Yeah. I met him here because we during the sports broadcasting camp we had to interview someone. So I was interviewing John Starks, and after that was when I like kind of got really into basketball when I got to meet him. Yeah. He was such a nice guy.
Oh, that's good. That's good to hear. Those years, the Pat Riley and then Van Gundy years, late 80s or 90s into the two. Wow, that was such fantastic Knicks. There's just great times, and the Garden, you could still be able to sit in the nosebleed sections and go see a playoff basketball game. Now you have to, cut off an arm.
Yeah, to get nosebleeds.
So good luck to the Knicks. The Hawks, obviously, they should take, and then the question is round 2, right?
Yeah. Would it be Boston again?
I think it would be Boston.
Were we the 3 last year when we played Boston? No.
Yeah. We were the 3.
Well, it would be Boston. It's either on who advances. It would be Boston.
It's either Boston or it's going to be, I think, Toronto. No, it's Boston then. I think it's Boston.
If Boston advances.
Yeah.
Rematch last year.
Right. Which would be a great series, and that would be a great sell for TV, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
If we could beat them again. Anyway, we're getting close to the end. So before we end, I want to thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
If there's any final thoughts you want to add.
No, I think you heard enough of me rambling. So if anyone has any final thoughts, questions they want to ask, you can send it to one of these young gentlemen.
I just want to plug really quick. Next Thursday, Radiothon.
Yes.
8 a.m. to the end of the NFL draft.
Oh, wow. That sounds cool.
Shows going on all day. 8 a.m. to the end of the NFL draft. So it's not like a typical radio show. It's not like typical radio day. It's going to be just consecutively straight through. Should be a lot of fun. You'll see us too around 2:30.
Yep.
I believe around the 2:30 hour.
Yes. If you want, we did try and give you a sneak peek. Definitely going to do WrestleMania.
We're going to try to fit in everything that we talk about in the 2-hour window in 1 hour.
So we're going to try and do WrestleMania talk. Hopefully we get the Doomsday trailer because we've been getting teased that today the trailer was going to drop. So hopefully we get the trailer sooner rather than later. We get to talk about that. And then of course just the NBA playoffs.
Yeah. All right. And we'll be back next week. I can't wait. Dom, see you next week. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. This was fantastic. Thank you for listening to me babble.
It was fantastic.
Thank you.